Hello guys, this is Andra. I'm going to discuss about the sandboxes in Salesforce in today's session. In real-time scenario, in real-time scenario, if the developers are used to work on the sandbox and has to deploy the developer org into the production org, if we can have the following approaches, usually in real-time scenario, usually a developer should have the following approaches to deploy and develop the code. Depends on our requirements. See, first of all, every developer has to develop the code, develop the business logic. After developing, he has to be test the logic if it is working or fine or not. Fine or not. And after that, if it is working fine, we have to deploy the code to our real-time mode. Code to the real-time mode with production. See, this is the main function. So that to approach these three functionalities, development, testing, and deploy, we will use the sandboxes in order to affect the real-time mode. So that this is the main functionality of our real-time mode. So that this is the main functionality of our real-time sandboxes. See, now coming to sandbox. Now see, sandbox is to isolate the real-time or sandbox is to isolate the real-time or so that we can customize the required business logic. See, this is the main functionality of our sandbox. This is the main functionality of our sandbox. Coming to sandboxes, we have depends on our requirement. We can use the different types of sandboxes. See, before logging into the sandbox, if every developer is to who is learning the first, is the learning level of the Salesforce is to get the how we will get the sandboxes. See, we have the URL for the sandbox. Sandbox URL is test.salesforce.com. This is the URL for the sandbox, and that is URL for the sandbox. You will get the sandbox URL is like this, and you have to type the URL in our Google search bar. You will get the page like this. You have to enter the username. Username should be the coming to username. Username should be suppose example VC ABC @gmail.com .sandbox name like ABC @gmail.com .test. If we are going to create the test as a testing sandbox, we will use for test. If you want to developing the sandbox for developing, we will use the development for the sandbox name. It depends on our requirement, and we will get the one more scenario on our mind. In our mind, we have to create our sandbox by default, or Salesforce is to give the sandbox license. See, it depends on the edition purchased by the client. We will get the sandboxes. See, following these are the different types of sandboxes given by the Salesforce, and these are the different types of quantity of sandboxes given by the different types of edition. While coming to professional edition, we can have the 10 developer sandbox, and coming to performance edition, we can have the 100 developer sandbox. Coming to unlimited edition, we can have these type of sandboxes. Depends on our client purchase license they used to get. If the client want more than these sandboxes, they can approach the support.salesforce, so that they can support team to the Salesforce, so that they can get the more sandbox. Depends on their business requirement. That is, and we have again we will get the one more doubt. How can we develop the code, and how can we test the code? How can we deploy the code? This is all to be done in the following cases. See, this is, as I mentioned before, we can have the same replica of our real timer. See, if it is a sandbox, think this is a sandbox, and this is our production hour. This is our production hour. See, this is our production hour. It is to be our, in this we have to done with the development and testing to be done in the sandboxes, and here is our real timer. While deploying the code to our production hour, we can use the chain set. This is nothing but the chain set. Chain set is the, we can use the chain set. Chain set is nothing but chain set is nothing but a small number of components which are used for the chain set is nothing but the small number of components which are used for the deploying and developing the code. Deploying and developing the code, we can use the chain set. Depends on our requirement. Add all the components in the chain set. We can use the chain set, different components in single chain set. Means nothing but, if components is nothing but workflow is one component, and the creating fields, custom fields is one component, and if we have the triggers is one component, and visual force is the one component. Depends on our, if we have created the chain set, and depends on our requirement, this chain set to be, after testing, it has to be deployed to our production hour, so that it can be used. And coming to types of sandboxes. We have the mainly 4 types of sandboxes in our Salesforce. We have the first one is the developer sandbox. Developer sandbox is nothing but developer sandbox. And second thing is the developer pro sandbox. And third one is the partial copy sandbox. Partial copy sandbox. And final one is the full sandbox. Full sandbox. See, coming to developer sandbox, we can have the small quantity of memory, so that it can be stored as up to 200 MB of data. It can store the 200 MB of data. Means this sandbox is usually used for the testing of data with the sample with the sample record. In this we cannot use the real-time data. Means in this refresh interval time is 1 day. And coming to this sandbox, it can have the 1 GB of data. Functionality is same as above, but in this the memory storage of memory is more when compared to the developer sandbox. So that if you want to test the more data, more than 200 MB data, we can approach to the developer pro sandbox. Depends on our requirement. And coming to partial copy sandbox, in this sandbox is have the data 5 GB. So that in this functionality is similar to about two sandbox. Additional feature is there in this functionality. In this refresh interval is 5 days, and refresh interval is 5 days, and additional topic will be discussed with the both the additional functionality is same for both the partial copy sandbox and fully copy sandbox. So that I will discuss with the both of them. Before going to that, we will see this full sandbox also. Full sandbox will have the same replica of the our productioner, means same copy of productioner. Same copy of our productioner, and in this refresh interval is 29 days. Within 29 days we can develop the code, and we can give the within 29 days we can develop the code, we can test the code, and we can give the training to the end user also. In coming to both the scenarios, while coming to both these two sandboxes, these two sandboxes are used to contains the real data, like real data, like records which are going to records which are going to be stored, which are going to store in the real time mode. So that with the help of these two we can help of two sandboxes we can give the training, we can support to our team members or the end users. These are the types of sandboxes. While going to creating the sandbox, we can use the following navigation for the creation of sandbox. See, navigation for sandbox creation. So one more thing we have to understand. Here one more thing we have to understand, because the thing is that the creation of sandbox will be done with the administrator. There should be one administrator for the every org. That is, creation of sandbox will be taking control of administrator, like our profile set users creation. users. In real time, creation of sandbox will be taking control of the administrator like our profiles and users creation. This is the main role. Fine. And see, this is the navigation for the creation of sandbox. Creation of sandbox will be, first we have to go to production org. Number one. One is for the go to setup, and then setup you have to go to deploy, and then go to sandbox link, click on that, and we will get the button like new, create new button, click on that. After clicking on that, we'll get the page. We'll get the page like we get the page. In that we have the fields of name field, and one more thing is the description. In description, it is to be optional, but in real time description will help the purpose of creation sandbox. Then after these two fields, we have the one more field, additional field like one additional field like a table will be appear like this. One table like will be appear like this, and we will get the types of sandboxes, like depends on our license. We can get their options like developer pro, and developer pro, and one more sandbox is partial cost and full. Depends on our requirement, and we will have the two more buttons like after that. After selecting the each depends on our requirement, we will have the following field like create, individually create button is available for the each sandbox as shown in figure. Unfortunately, we don't have any free developers and we don't have any sandbox in our free developer edition. So that I'm writing the navigation here. If you note down in your notebooks, it is going to be help for the further help declaration. This is the creation of sandbox. Once we have creation is done, we have to go for the every developer has to go for the following approaches to deploy the code from the real-time work. This to be discussed in the next session. Please go through this session. Thank you.